Good morning. It's October 7th. It is, again, below freezing, minus... couldn't see what was going on there, but the Velcro on my glove caught on the Velcro on the mic cord. Anyway, so it'll be a frosty morning around the lake. It is Friday, so we're heading around the lake. To go to fairly pleasant this afternoon, 17 or something, but it's starting chilly. -5 or -4, depending on which device I asked. Siri said it was -4, but Google said it was -5, so it depends on which one you think is the most trustworthy, I guess. Certainly it's been cold enough to probably put paid to the flowers. We'll find out what the garden looks like in front of the legislative building, but they may have pulled it out more since I was there last week. We'll see if we have somewhat fewer people around the lake this morning. Good morning, marijuana. It's brisk. It'll be brisker. I will be walking in much colder temperatures than this, but this is kind of the beginning of it. It'll warm up again. We won't be freezing every night just yet. It doesn't look like from the forecast. We haven't reached that point. There's usually kind of a sharp break in the weather where suddenly it goes to cold and stays that way. I'm doing well. Been a busy publishing few weeks for me with books coming out. There's one out next week. Shapers of Worlds Volume 3 is finally out officially, the anthology featuring third-year guests of my podcast, The World Shapers. So a few things I'm trying to figure out. For some reason, the paperbacks and hardcover on Amazon have not linked to the ebook automatically, which they normally do. So I may have to send them an email, see if they can make sure that happens. I've given it plenty of time to propagate through, and it hasn't linked. So, and of course, next week I'm off to Ottawa for CanCon. Oh, the leaves enthusiastically start dropping once there's frost. It's like this one here just decided, let's get on with it. Have a mini book launch for the anthology volume at CanCon. Gerald Brandt, who's one of the authors, he's from Winnipeg, and a fellow Daw author, will be there, and we'll do a reading, and I'll talk about the book and hopefully sell a few copies. I shipped some to a friend in Ottawa, so I'd have some print copies to sell. I'll either have to ship them here from there, or I'm hoping that the bookstore that's providing books at the convention back at Phoenix out of Toronto will take some for stock. Sorry, I'm having a hard time reading it. I might. We'll see. It's always a little weird doing it in somebody else's city, but Ottawa is such a tourist town that nobody will look twice. There are already people who live stream in Ottawa. During the Freedom Convoy, I remember watching a guy walking around down there showing off the hot tubs and bouncy castles. Looked like a big street party. So I know there's at least, he had huge numbers of hits because of that. People tuning in to see what was going on. I suppose if something of that nature happened here, I might get huge numbers of hits. But just as soon it didn't. Oh, that's bright. I didn't wear any sunglasses either. Can't see a thing. Auto Walker, I think he calls himself, if I remember right. That's the obvious pun. Make it into one word. I imagine his numbers have dropped precipitously since the end of the convoy. Certainly we haven't watched him again. Well, that's unusual. You don't usually find people sleeping under there. Oh, look at the steam rising off of the lake. That's cool. Maybe I will go this way for that reason. Get a better look at it. That's a cool effect. Not that I can see a thing because of the sun glaring off the water there. Can't read the screen, so whatever you're saying, I can't see it. Whew. That's as bright as it's ever been. I don't know why it seems so much brighter. I think it's the steam making it white as well, but it feels like glaring, and it glares more than it does off ice. Still, cool to see. Turn it just that way, you can sort of see the steam better without the sun glaring in the middle of the picture. So the water is still warmer than the air is what that is. You can see it against the trees there. You can see it, the steam quite nicely. Even more if I get the sun out of there. Ooh, that's bright. Better. That's always the fun thing about these walks. The lake changes every time you go around it. With the seasons. But I'll be glad when I turn the corner and I'm not going directly into the sun anymore. That would have been the advantage of going the other way. You could avoid this direct glare. Cannot see the screen, so if you've said anything, I'm sorry. It's Willow Island over there. The sun rising behind it. Here you can see more steam blowing off the lake. Oh, and here's some shade. Yay! Was there anything else there? Yes, I did get some shade right here. You can see some frost glistening here on the ground too, if you look close. Maybe not on the camera, but I can see it. It's fairly white in the shade, already melting off where the sun hits it. It's our first dog of the day, probably not our last. 2 dogs. One is busy in the bushes. Morning. It's really bright walking this way. These bushes don't quite provide shade. I'll take the shortcut here as well. We're about to turn the corner, get the sun out of our eyes for the rest of the walk. Mostly. There'll be one turn back to the east a little bit further up. Here we come to the parking lot where Shards of Excalibur begins, a young adult fantasy series, available on Amazon. Indirectly from Shadowpaw Press. So there's Willow Island. Oh, you can see it's not snowing, but the leaves are dropping very enthusiastically there. Lady of the Lake shows up right there in my book to start things off, right where that, whatever that is, floating on the water. It's a white bird. Doesn't look like a gull. Don't know what that was. I haven't heard geese migrating. We were talking about that this morning. Have they already left? I'm not seeing them around the lake to speak of. We'll see when we get further over. I mean, they do go out into fields to feed. Usually it's in the evening when they come back. But I haven't heard the honking one expects to hear. A little easier to see now. Got the cord caught there. Here comes our second dog of the walk. There's a jogger coming up behind me, so bingo! Here's where we get a good view of Willow Island. Complete with leaves dropping through the frame. Said the frost really accelerates that process, especially a hard frost, and it was -5, which is pretty good frost. That's would have been 23 Fahrenheit. About what it is now. It's probably starting to go up now. Got this kind of glut of books out now. I start to think more about writing again. So I have lots to write, including a nonfiction book, which I need to get started on. Well, I've started it, but I actually have a publisher interested in it, and I need to get a sample chapter and proposal. Oh, yeah, you can see the leaves dropping over there in the sun. Meanwhile, the lake is always over here. Funny, that doesn't move around much. It's the Queen building over there, HMCS Queen. His Majesty's Canadian ship. Queen now. Well, see, there's lots of these white birds on the lake. I wonder if they're snow geese, as opposed to our usual Canada geese. I mean, there's certainly Canada geese around, but I'm not seeing them. Like I said, they're probably out in farmers' fields, getting ready to not hibernate, migrate. Except for those that don't, because we get plenty of geese that will overwinter here. At least for a very long time, they delay. You'll see them out even when the ice is frozen. They'll be out there. Right out there, they linger for a long time for some reason. There seems to be open water in that part of the lake for a long time. Morning. Footbridge coming up. One of two bridges we will watch cross going this way unless I go into Pine Island. Got Scenic Overlook up there, looking out at the ledge. Earlier in the summer, there was a fountain in this pond, an aeration fountain to keep oxygen in the water for the fishies. Maybe those are gulls sitting out there. Don't usually think of them sitting on the water, but maybe they do it when it's cold. Eyes aren't good enough to see them as anything but white blots. There we go again, the ledge from the east. I guess they're just gulls. I'm just not used to seeing them all sitting on the water like that. That's a crow somewhere going caw-caw. A little sparkling in the grass here from the frost in the shade. As we come up to the marina. This is where we turn back into the sun for a bit, and I am once more blinded by the light, revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night. Yes, those are the lyrics. I couldn't figure those out for years. Now you can look them up, but when I was a teenager, I could not make sense of those lyrics. A deuce, of course, is a 32 Ford Coupe that's been turned into a hot rod. 32, 2, deuce. And another runner in the night, but always sound like another rumor in the night. So, anyway, those are the actual lyrics, in case you wondered. Blinded by the light, revved up like a deuce, another runner in the night. And lots of people have Googled them. If you Google those lyrics, it immediately put in blinded by the light, it'll immediately pop up. Blinded by the light lyrics is one of the search options. Josh wel called schrijnplakken like that. More leaves leaping from the tree there. See how much breeze there is by the way they're blowing. Now by the boat ramp. See the steam rising off the lake again up there in the sun. There's the boat ramp and the dock. Sitting on the dock of the bay. People also launch boats, especially kayaks, from this little bit of beach here. In fact, there's some right there. Not kayaks, those are dragon boats. They usually get launched back there on the pier. I would say they're clearing them away so they're not sitting in the water, which will be freezing in the next month or so. All this here water will turn to ice. And it will be that way until April. That's Pine Island over there. Waterfall is off. I might go out there just to see if I can walk under the waterfall now that it's off. Used to be able to walk under it when it was going, but all this year they had it blocked off. I don't know if somebody did something stupid and so nobody else was allowed to go on there. I don't know. Okay, this is the other bridge we cross over. Technically, I guess there's a third bridge. I don't think of it as a bridge, but it is a bridge, obviously, because you go over the water, so duh. So, no flute player there today. Quite often during the summer there was somebody playing a flute under there, enjoying the acoustic. Again, that's Pine Island over there. Bunch of birds sitting over there, as there often are, but not Canada geese. wrong color. Snow geese, maybe. Maybe just gulls. Yeah, I think they're just gulls. Boys and gulls together. I don't usually walk down here, but I will today. It's not muddy. Just to show the little cluster of gulls there. You can also see frost here with the pale patches in the shade or the frost. Trafalgar behind me. There's Pine Island over there. I don't think I will go across. I'm just going to stick to the path today and get home sooner. It's all ducks though, no Canada geese. I see a couple of geese way over there on that point of land. Mostly, these are ducks. Ducks, ducks, ducks. No geese. And a crow over there. You can see downtown over there coming into sight and then promptly being blocked by a tree. From here, there's downtown. Where I'm probably heading, I think I'm going to go down there and work. nothing to say, just walking. I've occasionally done an entirely non-talking walk. Non-walking walk would be a good trick. And I will again someday. Usually that's cool if it's raining or very early in the morning, dark and cold, just to give that. When it was 35 below, I think I talked, but could do that completely without talking. It would be kind of eerie. What I discovered was the battery of the phone dies very, very quickly in really cold weather, so I might not even be able to get all the way around the lake this year because the phone's a year older. But we'll see. I could, of course, get some sort of additional power source, but I only needed a couple of days, so it doesn't seem worth the effort. And the gimbal, too, lost power a couple of times in really cold weather. But there's no telling until you try it. Also, the microphone tends to quit working. I thought it was just the wireless one, and the wireless one still quits working, which is why I don't use it anymore. It just disconnects and you don't know that. The wired one, however, even it would quit in cold weather. Good morning, Jonathan. Even the wired one will quit in cold weather because the metal of the plug contracts, whereas of course the metal of the plug-in doesn't, and so it becomes loose in the socket and doesn't give a good connection. I think that's my best explanation. Here, we'll go out here and take a quick look on the Scenic lookout here. Most of the mist has burned off. You can still see some rising over there. That's the center of the arts, or the Connexus Arts Center over there, and that's Spruce Island, which is left undeveloped for wildlife, and then looking straight downtown there. And excuse my throat clearing. Coffee waiting when I get home, so there's that. Then I'll decide if I'm going to walk downtown to do some writing or stay at home. There are appeals to both options, so we'll see. Or maybe I'll work from home for a while and then go downtown for lunch. I've done that before too. I have finally gotten this YA fantasy / horror, not really horror, but it has horror elements, book, tentatively titled Changers. I finally worked through the opening few chapters enough times I think I can go on and keep writing. I got off track, and I could tell I was off track, so I stalled, and then I went back and thought things through a little better and realized I had to make a fairly major change, which I did, and I think that'll make it work now going forward. I don't have a publisher lined up. I did. Cheesine was going to publish it, but they imploded and went away without ever getting around to offering me a contract. We just had a verbal agreement, which is what? A verbal agreement is worth the paper it's written on. It is not worth the paper it's written on. And I've been working on this for years. I remember talking with my agent about it in New York when I went to get the cat, and he's 10 years old, so, and he was only 4 months old when I got him. I have not been working on it all that time. It's just been sitting there taunting me. So I'm going to finish it. Then I'll see if I can find a publisher for it. which I probably won't, but I can always publish it myself. Still waiting to hear from a publisher that was quite interested in my middle grade book called Fireboy, also a fantasy involving elementals. And I sent them a bunch of information, and now I'm just waiting. I'll probably send a follow-up pretty soon. I think it must have been 3 months by now. There's the Holodomor Memorial, marking the Russian genocide of Ukrainians and under Stalin. Now, do I want to duck in through the tennis courts? I think I might. That's always fun. Somewhere up here there's a gap. I can go in that way. There's probably nobody playing. I don't hear any tennis sounds. Right over here, you can see a bit of a sidewalk stretch right here. Not exactly, but a bit of a path. Not quite there. Up here by the lamppost. That makes more sense. Here's where the path is. Much more obvious than I thought it was. And the lake. There's the Lake Shore Tennis Club. Nobody tennising this morning. All summer there were tennis lessons going on here with kids. Last time I came through, there were 2 guys playing over here. Nets are still up, so they haven't closed it down completely. They may have closed down their bistro here. I wouldn't imagine it would be doing much business right now with nobody out here in the morning playing tennis. That's their little clubhouse. That's a very familiar style of structure, that shingle and everything. It looks very much like the buildings on the former British Commonwealth Air Training Command base where I grew up, where Western Christian College was located in Weyburn. Nice crunchiness under here, though. Nice carpet of leaves. Main reason I came that way, so hopefully I could crunch some leaves. Sure enough, here we are on the back side of the legislature, Saskatchewan Legislative Building. We'll go right past the sign that says access by unauthorized persons or vehicles is prohibited. I think that's around some sort of power thing. I'll walk up close to the building today. I haven't done that for a while. Down that way is the Trafalgar Fountain, which is off for the season. Used to stand in Trafalgar Square in London. And we'll just take a walk along the base of the legislative building before we head into the gardens. I still see some flowers over there, so they haven't torn everything out yet. Where you'd come if you were shooting a really low budget film and you needed something that you could pretend was in London. You'd shoot in this corner right here. All Tyndall stone. It's full of fossils. If you look close, you can almost always see a fossil in there somewhere. Old seabed. Rack. We'll take a run up the steps, or more of a walk. occasionally run into an MLA up here that I knew. The Cornerstones, erected 1908 to 1911, and then Their Majesties King George and Queen Elizabeth, our Queen Elizabeth's mother. And a look over the gardens, which are looking pretty brown, to downtown. See the statue of the Queen there, hard to see in the shade, but trust me, she's there. That's the Saskatchewan War Memorial over there, that structure there where the sun is shining. This is just a big yard that people tend to play frisbee in and things like that. And we will go this way. I smell something really nice. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I'll cross here. Yeah, not too much left in the flowers after 2 nights of frost. They'll be tearing everything out shortly. You can still see flowers left in front of the statue of the Queen there to mark her passing. Of course, I was here when that was unveiled, standing right about along here somewhere. Don't know if we were on that, probably back there. And she took flowers from Alice, my daughter, who was not quite 4 and does not remember it, unfortunately. Yes, the frost has done its nasty deed to many of these flowers. The ones that stick up high get hit the hardest. The pansies hang in there. They're pretty tough. And that's the statue of Walter Scott, the first premier, who was the one who oversaw the building of the legislative building, with downtown there behind him. Definitely frost nipped there, those flowers too. Or frost killed. Probably not just nipped. So, not too much further back to home. 10 minutes from here. Yes, the white birds are gulls. I was just a little confused because I wasn't used to seeing them in that much on the water. Maybe that's where they go when it gets cold. One more bridge to cross, which is also where the dam is that creates the lake. Ice impeding the flow of Wascana Creek, which I walked along yesterday on the other side, downstream from here. Looks like just Canadian flags flying on the bridge right now, not marking anything special. Those flags change depending on what's going on in the city and the world. Usually Canada flags alternating with something else. Quite warm now. I'm going to take my hat off. At this point, I could be fine even if I was just wearing my sweater. It's always hard to dress for this. I set out, I want my jacket. By the time I get back, I'm sweating inside my jacket and wishing I could take it off, but since I'm carrying this thing, I don't really have that flexibility. Probably literally. I don't think I'm flexible enough to take off my jacket with one hand. Here's the dam. That's the dam, also the bridge. Albert Street Bridge. I don't think any water is going over the dam at the moment. Very little. It looks like they're like none. There'd have to be some, or the stream would dry up downstream. So, but nothing going over the spillway anyway. One more look back at the bright sunshine over the lake. There's a goose, but only one. Because there was a guy sleeping under there. I don't know if I want to go through or not, but he just came out. So. I think though I'll go up and use the crosswalk. Just to be different anyway, because I haven't been up this way for a while. Here at Speaker's Corner, the lamps there did indeed stood in Hyde Park in London at one point. Also, from up here, you get a different view of the bridge. Probably have to wait a bit though. This can be a long wait for a light change here. Pretty looking in that direction. So this is Albert Street, the main north-south drag. I don't know how it decides how long to make you wait. It can be quite a while. Or you can wait till there's a break in traffic and jaywalk. That works too, but I'm not going to get that right now. Probably could do it right now if I wanted to, which I will. That way I'm out of the way. I can keep going. And of course, I always have to point out, Harrington Mews also features in the Shards of Excalibur series. That's where Wally Knight, one of the characters, lives, and quite a bit of action takes place in his house, which is a fictional house in a real place down at the end of Harrington Mews there. They don't really venture into this neighborhood though. That's as far west as they come in the city. Harrington Mews. Ariane lives on the other side of the lake, past Winnipeg Street. Again, a fictional house in a very real place. She walks to the 7-Eleven on Victoria Avenue at one point. She goes to the library. We get a bus, which you can't do anymore. And go to Chamberlain, which is a very real place. And I am the only fantasy author who will ever write a scene set in Bennett's Gas in Chamberlain. George R. Martin may be putting it in, the last Game of Thrones book, but since he'll never finish that, we'll never know. Patrick Rothfuss is never going to finish his series, it looks like. I don't understand how that happens personally. If I had a contract, I would totally be done in short order. I don't care how big the book is. I could do it in a year, I'm sure. That would be a really big book, because I don't take a year to write even a big book when I'm working on nothing else. Unfortunately, I'm rarely working on nothing else, which is why this young adult book is now 10 years in the making, but I haven't been writing on it even every year. It's been sitting there, as I said, taunting me. But I think today, in fact, I have an opportunity to push it ahead a chapter or two, and that'll get it rolling again. I'll try to keep working on it even while I'm working on the nonfiction book I've got to work on. Of course, if I get this full-time job I applied for, that will just mean I work day and night, but I make more money. Don't know what that will mean if I get it, what it would mean to the walking in Regina. I would still do it, but it might become a weekend thing or 3 times a week or something. Or I just live stream the same walk every day as I go downtown, because I'm a 20-minute walk from where this job would be. Almost home here on Angus Crescent. I walk around the lake. There are very big leaves on this tree. I'll walk around the lake complete. So, I'll stop here with a nice view of the other side of the street. Thank you for walking with me. I'll be back at least once over the weekend, and maybe both days. We'll see. Bye for now.